Our readings and our inquiry this semester begin in the Romantic period, at the end of the 18th century. Romanticism, we might say, represents a revolt against the secular, scientific spirit of the Enlightenment. By placing its faith in the revelatory power of the human imagination, Romanticism opposes the stable and hierarchical order of inherited values, and the notion of God as a kind of divine mathematician. Exalting the poet and the artist, its proponents seek to counter what they see as the dullness, the rationalism, and the industrialism of the Enlightenment period. As Blake's prophetic speaker in The Marriage of Heaven and Hell proclaims, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. The poets we will read this first week all believe that through non-conventional phenomena, one can imaginatively engage both external and internal nature. In the process, they seem to reject organized religion, but in searching out the hidden springs of spiritual power, their search seems akin to a religious endeavor. Wordsworth makes nature humankind's new spiritual guide, confidently proposing that one impulse from a vernal wood may teach you more of man, of moral evil, and of good than all the sages can. As you walk these vernal woods with our romantic poets, be looking for where and how you see these poems representing artistic inspiration and the role of the artist. What do the speakers of these poems seek, and what personal and intellectual crises do they encounter? Blake, for one, lamented the impoverished condition of modern poetics and sought a new way of seeing. What does he want us to take away from our encounter with his fierce tiger, which combines energy, vitality, and muscularity with menace, danger, and violence? Why do we find multiple speakers beseeching birds? What do these birds represent, and what do they offer? How are these poems about inspiration and creation? Throughout these poems, too, and, indeed, throughout this entire course, you will want to consider the presence and role of nature. As you move from cavorting on Blake's echoing green to contemplating Shelley's still, snowy, and serene Mont Blanc, how do you see these poets fusing natural description with inward states of mind? Is nature always a benign force and a teacher of moral good? Consider J.W.M. Turner's 1804 painting The Passage of St. Gothard. With its tight vertical composition and near monochrome palette, it produces a kind of vertiginous terror, drawing our eyes down into the crevasse, the abyss at the lower edge of the frame. It's a painting designed to make you lose your balance, and maybe your reason. It's a rendering that sees nature as beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Are there moments of similar ambivalence in the work of our romantic poets? Finally, and perhaps most crucially, how do you see these various artists and speakers grasping and dealing with the fact that we are time-bound creatures? How do questions about time, about human growth and change, about linearity and cyclicality get posed in these poems? How do these poets contemplate mortality and the human life in the context of nature and the seasons? And as they contemplate the fugitive nature of mortal joy, do the speakers of the poems find a way to understand and accept the passing of time, and to help us do the same? Fittingly, perhaps, we will conclude our discussion of this group of poems with the ominous and yet mysteriously consoling final image of Keats's gathering swallows twittering in the skies. After months of remorseless suffering, and just before dying at age 25, Keats's final poetic utterance is a benediction of warmth. We all share with him an abiding interest in understanding time as something that passes, and yet, in passing, leaves something of value behind.